program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's doing great out there. Welcome, PTL Nation, on a Tuesday. Oh, yeah, we got a big show lined up for you today. And some great guests lined up throughout the week, by the way. Just to give you a quick rundown on what we're doing today. This is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. The President of the United States, in a few minutes, is going to be joining us. You're certainly not going to want to miss that. It's incredible that Donald Trump actually has the time to do this show. It really is amazing. He's going to be joining us here in just a few. And then coming up on the bottom of the hour, you heard about this guy, Jake Lang, this neo-Nazi who's now back in jail, causing another riot. Well, one of the people that he got into it with is a guy by the name of Oscar Quinton. He's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. He got into it with Jake Lang. In fact, he was pepper sprayed and got sick because of it. He's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. We got some other great guests that are going to be joining us coming up the remainder of the week. Will Witt is a guy who works for Turning Point USA, and he press secretary. What did the mooch last? I think he lasted like 11 days. Is that right? Something along those. Now they're saying they can't hear. Did we fix that? Okay, good. Glad to hear that. And then on Thursday, Owen Schroyer is going to be joining us, formerly of InfoWars. So that's certainly going to be a lot of fun. And then a friend of mine who is part of the Take Back America tour, Ethan Alexander, great debater. He's going to be joining us in studio on Friday. So we got some great guests that are going to be joining us throughout the remainder of the week. It's going to be a lot of fun. So certainly looking forward to that. And as I mentioned, coming up at the bottom of the hour, this guy got into it with Jake Lang. And Jake Lang is now in jail, the neo-Nazi. So he's going to be joining us coming up at the bottom of the hour. So a lot of great guests. But, I'm always amazed when the President of the United States is able to take some time out of his day to join us on the program. I'm always amazed by it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the current President of the United States, the man himself, taking the time to join us on the show, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, excuse me. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. How are you?
Absolutely, Brian. How many times have I been on your show? Like 10, 15 times now, at least.
At
right?
least.
We've been doing this for quite a while.
We have
quite
been.
a while, and now you're becoming more famous because of me, which I think is fantastic.
You're taking credit for me getting famous. Well,
absolutely. With me, you'd be pretty much nothing.
That's true.
I think that's fair to say. I mean, there's another guy in Las Vegas, Wayne Allen Root. No one would know who the hell he is if it wasn't for me and his hair plugs.
That's true. Okay, I certainly don't disagree with you there, Mr. President. I certainly agree. Mr. President, before we get to some serious topics, this is a serious one. I mean, you knew Dolly Parton. I don't know if she was very fond of you, but,
she wanted to date me. She wanted to date me in the 80s. I had her at Trump Plaza, Atlantic City, by the way, the finest casino in Atlantic City. And we did so well there. I made so much money in Atlantic City. I pretty much innovated Atlantic City, and I did such an incredible job and made so much money. I actually did something no one ever did before. I retired the casinos. They went so well. I said, you know what? This is unfair to the other casino operators. As you know,
Mr. President, why is it we
closed all three of my casinos? But Dolly was very attractive, and she couldn't keep her hands off me a lot of the time when we were in private.
All right. Well, I don't know.
She was married. I'd like to say that she was married.
Mr. President, why isn't when we talk about death, you always make it about yourself? Like, it's like that's a fair criticism, isn't it?
Oh, that's not fair. I make everything about myself, not just death.
That's true. That's true. I can't.
It's always about me. I had a bunch of school kids there yesterday, and I took them on a job site. Have you ever seen a bunch of 6-year-olds so bored? You know what I mean? I'm standing there. Listen. This is 6 subfloors, and we've got the rebar, and we've got double line concrete. These poor kids. It was unbelievable. They could not give a crap.
Well, Mr. President,
I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Mr. President, why are you doing this trade war with Canada? They're very upset at you, Mr. President. And why have you done this to our allies? I'm wondering what you would say about this.
Because we don't need maple syrup, very expensive maple syrup. We certainly don't need Canadian flag. By the way, we can grow trees here, as far as I know. These people are like, oh, what are we going to do? I just ordered 1,000 trees to be planted. You know, we don't need Canada. We don't need Canada.
They're our allies.
Look at these people.
They're our friends, Mr.
President. What does that mean? What does that mean?
I know, but
they're not helping us. They're not helping us in Iran. They're not helping us with Greenland. They're not helping us with all this other stuff. You know, they want to be treated like a state, a United States state, one of the states of the great states of the states that we have here.
All right.
And they don't act like it. They don't act like it. So we're going to make it really tough for Americans to go there. We're going to make it tough for Americans to get back. I'm thinking of ejecting Jim Carrey. Shatner's got to go. There's a lot of people. Did you know how many Canadians there are? We might as well give them back Michael J. Fox, too. Now that I think about it.
Oh, don't do that. I love Michael J. Fox. He's fantastic. No, we don't want to give away Michael. He's fantastic.
He's not very nice to me.
I know, but Mr. President, now they're raising prices, and it's going to cost the American consumer more money. And
what are they raising? Excuse me. What are they raising prices on?
Well, I mean, they're literally, they just made the announcement that they're going to be implementing tariffs on us, and they're going to be raising prices, and the American consumers are the ones that are going to have to pay the blunt of that. Why don't you care about that, Mr. President?
But what, Brian, this is a serious question, okay? I know that we're on opposite sides of the spectrum, but what does Canada have that we don't have?
I don't know, a really, really good leadership. I'm sorry, I don't know. They got
just because. You know what? I knew that was coming. But listen, I'm unpredictable. That's just me. I'm an unpredictable guy.
Yes.
What's his name? Carney.
Yeah, Carney. Yeah.
Everyone, I'm online.
All right, hold on.
And people are like, oh, he's so concise. He's so serious. He's so to the point. Who cares? We're the hottest nation in the world. And I mean that by temperature now.
Mr. President, speaking of hot, let's talk a little bit about this feud. So you just made a public appearance with Melania, and you're sitting there with her, and then all of a sudden Natalie Harp comes over, and then Melania just disappears and she walks away. What were you guys talking about? What were you talking about with the First Lady?
Oh, I don't know. She's always just bitching and complaining about something. Let me tell you, Natalie never complains. She's always happy. She says, I saved her life. Do you think I could get that out of Melania once? Once. I mean, here was a woman who was essentially an escort, and then I save her life. I give her the greatest life she could ever have, and all I get is bitching and moaning. You don't listen to me. You never take out the trash. You never see your son. You never do this. Blah, 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 blah. Women, let me tell you, women, they're the worst. But they're the greatest at the same time.
Is it true, Mr. President, that Melania charges you for every public appearance she makes? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I reminded her, I had to be I don't want to get in trouble because sometimes I say things and I get in trouble. But I mentioned, Ivana spelled out a set of steps. So I had to mention that to Melania.
But I've heard rumors that to hold your hand, she charges $25,000 allegedly, and it's $50,000 for make a public appearance.
I want to let you know something. I have no problem with that because I charge $25,000 for a photograph. So that's where she got it from. This is you know what? I've never said this before, but I'm going to say it on your show. That's my fault.
Okay.
You'll never ever hear me say that again
I've never,
about anything.
I've never heard you
That's
take
my
responsibility for anything. But don't you think
I
it's,
don't usually.
Mr.
But
President?
she kind of learned all this stuff from me. I created a very attractive. Well, she's not attractive anymore, but a very mean monster.
Mr. President, don't you
see
think?
the video of her giving me a hard time? Can you believe
Yeah,
this?
I saw that.
The life I've given this woman, and she's just needling me. Needling. Why did you do that? Why did you do this? How come you did it that way? It's like, excuse me, who's the billionaire?
But Mr.
Who's the
President,
billionaire?
don't you think it's a little strange that this Natalie woman, Natalie Harp, is hiding in a trunk and she's living in the locker room at your golf course and she's writing you love letters? Some people think it's a little strange behavior. It's a little obsessed.
That shows me commitment. That shows me commitment. She wants. Listen, you remember the girl you had a super crush on in high school when you'd
Sure.
ride by her house on your bicycle and you did all those things. This is what Nat. Let me tell you something. I feel like I'm 18 years old with Natalie. There's lead in my pencil. She laughs at every joke. I mean, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And they're like, sir, she doesn't have security clearance. Sir, she's a foreign agent. Who cares? Who cares? You know
All
what I mean?
I mean, listen, okay, some people think it's a little strange, Mr. President, that at your age you're hanging out with someone this young. You know, I think we had similar issues with Matt Gaetz and, Howard Lutnick hanging out on Epstein Island. And
She's not 17. I mean, she's an adult woman. And I did save her life. So I think I get to shave off a few additional years.
Fair enough. All right. I guess that's fair enough. I guess, Mr. President, I have to ask you a little bit more about Iran because, you had some in the Trump administration and even somebody like a Scott Jennings yesterday who said we won the war. And my question is, what did we win? Like it seems to me this war is a disaster. Why do you guys keep saying you won the war? What did you win?
Well, we did win the war. We won the naming rights. I renamed the Strait of Hormuz. And I've made it a U.S. territory. I'm also changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America or something like that. We haven't come up with the actual names yet, but we're going to make that happen.
Fair. Lake America. Didn't you say you were going to call it the Strait of America too?
Strait of America.
Yeah.
We're just making everything America.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I sunk the Navy. I killed their army. I've gotten rid. Militarily, we've won. And isn't that the most important thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have though, but I mean, you're claiming you've won the war militarily, but I'm not sure you have.
Well,
Mr.
claiming
President.
is like 90% of it. Ownership's like 9/10 of the law. Did you know that?
Why do you keep talking about the ballroom, and why are you so obsessed with the ballroom? It's very strange.
Because we got to get it done. I had the Steinberg bar mitzvah coming up, and that's got to be done because I've already rented that building.
You got you're doing bar
You
mitzvahs.
think I'm going to let that stand empty for one day? We're going to be renting that place out like you've never seen.
Yeah, but
like
the courts. But
and it's a military thing too. It's the military. If you disagree with this ballroom, you hate America and you hate the military and you're just a hater.
why do you keep going after El-Sayed and Mamdani? Like, does it have anything to do with where they're from, Mr. President? Why do you keep going after them?
Well, they're brown, and I don't really like brown people. Brown socialists. And with what's the first guy's name again? Not Mamdani.
El-Sayed. Yeah.
El-Sayed. Do you believe that? That sounds like somebody who's on the top 10 list. El-Sayed. Baghdadi. That sounds like someone I would take a hit out on. El-Baghdadi. El-Baghdadi.
Mr. President, that seems a little
And
racist to me.
Excuse me. And let me just say this about all the Arabs. How come they can't finish the beer? How come they got to do like these open portions on their face? Just grow the whole
Well,
thing
some
in.
people would say that about me, Mr. President, and I'm not. I'm not a Muslim. Some people could make that argument about my beard.
What would they say about you? You didn't grow your whole beard in?
No, I mean, I usually trim it. I trim it like once, twice a week. I could make it grow longer if I wanted to, and I could be a ginger Muslim, I guess. I don't know.
Ginger Muslim. Oh, there are. Did you know there are white Muslims? I found that out.
I do know that. Yeah. What do you think about
didn't know
that?
that.
What do you think about that?
I mean, do these people realize what's happening? You know what I mean? Somebody showed me a photo of a guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, and he said he was a Muslim. Like, that can't be right.
Maybe
That
not.
can't be right.
Well, Mr. President, I know you have a very busy schedule. Is there
No,
anything else?
nothing's happening today, actually.
You playing a lot of
Safe and
golf,
quiet
right?
over
You're
here.
playing a lot of
Playing a lot
golf.
of golf. I'm doing another tour of the construction site. We're going to check out the gold horses. The Arc de Trump is underway. And it's going to be so incredible. It's so tall, planes are going to just have to, like, skip right over it. Let me tell you. Have you ever flown into Reagan, which is going to be ridiculous?
No, I've also never got into a catering truck when my plane landed either. I know you did that.
Wasn't that great? Wasn't that great? I felt like James Bond or something. I felt like
Why
James
did you bring
Bond.
Natalie Harp and
And
not bring like Marco Rubio or Caroline Levitt? Why did you bring Harp and
who
leave
the hell
everybody?
wants to be in a catering cart with Marco Rubio and his pepperoni breath?
Fair. I didn't know he had pepperoni
Oh
brought
my
that.
God!
I didn't know
He's
that.
got that. I think he has a loose tooth or something. There's some smell emanating from his mouth. It's terrible.
Fair
It's
enough.
terrible.
Well, Mr. President, I appreciate you. We want you to be safe. I appreciate you coming on. If you could,
You know what? I appreciate that coming from you.
yeah, I know.
That
I
means
mean,
a lot coming from you. 'Cause
yeah,
a lot of your people say very nasty things about me.
well, you know what? We want your safety and security, Mr. President. We don't want anything bad happening to you. We also don't want anything bad happening to your friend John DiDomenico. So if you could put him on the line, that'd be awesome. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
What's up, John? How's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Donald Trump, the gift that keeps on giving, right, John?
No, it literally never ends. It's like every day, you open your Instagram or Google. It's like, what fresh hell is happening today?
It's true.
You know,
When was the last time you put on all the makeup, the Trump makeup? When was the last time?
it's been a little while, but I just booked some. I just booked some cameos, and I need to do some content because there's so much stuff. It's piling.
Yeah, you're as I've always said, and I will say again, not only are you the best Trump impersonator, you're one of the best comics around. Always,
No, thank you.
always appreciate the time. Give out that information, your socials, how my listeners can follow you.
The Johnny D Show. Come and find me. Book me.
I love it, Mr.
We'll
Johnny
have some fun.
Johnny DiDomenico. Johnny, thank you so much for coming on. As always, I love you, pal, and we will talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
All right,
All
take
right,
care.
and good luck going up against that crazy guy.
Alex Stein. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, John. I appreciate you, pal. John DiDomenico, everybody, the legend himself. The legend himself. Yes, I am going to be debating Alex Stein in Dallas on September 9th. Tickets are available. Get out there, and the first 10 people that show up and approach me to say hello will get a free Don't Be a Trump Mushroom Gobbler t-shirt. I think we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be joined by our next guest who actually got into an altercation with Jake Lang, who is now behind bars. And I believe his bail was revoked. So we'll be coming up with Oscar Quinton, who got into it with Jake Lang. We'll be back with him right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. All right, welcome back. Pushing the limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, the guests that we have throughout the remainder of the week, I'm excited about. So Will Witt is a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. We're going to get into a spirited debate tomorrow. I know we are. So Will's going to be joining us on the program tomorrow, as well as the Mooch himself, Anthony Scaramucci, is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Owen Schroyer, formerly of InfoWars. Boy, I agree with a lot of what Owen has been saying lately, particularly about Donald Trump. So Owen's going to be joining us on the show Thursday. And a friend of mine who is part of the Take Back America tour, great debater, liberal commentator, Ethan Alexander, is going to be co-hosting with me Friday in studio. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So those of you might have heard the name Jake Lang. Jake Lang, in my opinion, is kind of like a fake Nazi. He's anti-Jew. He's anti-Muslim. He's anti-brown people. He openly hurls out the N-word. He's a despicable human being. I unfortunately did a 2-hour debate with him last month, and that's going to be released. Hasn't been released on social media yet. He used so many words that you can't even use on YouTube. He's a despicable human being. So Jake Lang had his bond revoked. He is behind bars because he got arrested again the other day. The guy starts riots. He's a provocateur and just a horrible human being. One of those people that he got into it with him is joining me on the program right now. He was actually pepper sprayed by Jake Lang, and then soon after got arrested. Not this guy, but Jake Lang did, thank goodness. And that gentleman who got into it with Jake Lang is joining us on the program right now. His name is Oscar Quinton. Oscar, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Doing all right, doing a little better. I think the shower I took this morning was the first one that didn't reactivate any pepper spray, so I'm feeling a little bit better.
That has never happened to me before. I never want it to happen to me. I've been told that is extremely painful, and I don't want to have to go through that. All right, so take me through the day. What day did this happen, by the way?
Saturday, August 22nd, just this past weekend.
Okay, so you wake up on Saturday, and let people know where it was. It was in Texas, right?
No, this was in Minneapolis at City Hall.
Okay, apologies. Okay, so it's in Minneapolis. You live out there. You wake up and you heard that Jake Lang was going to be there. Is that what took place?
Well, he announced this what he originally named it was the N-word march. I'm sure from having spoken to him, you know how much he likes that word.
Yes,
he did have to pull back a little bit on calling it that because social media wouldn't platform it, and he kept on getting his post taken down. So he started calling it the Crusader March, which is a less offensive term, but really doesn't sound all that much better in my opinion. But I knew I wanted to turn out for it. Jake Lang this is the third time he's attempted to throw a hate rally in my city, and not the first times that I've crossed paths with him throughout that time. He is one of the half dozen or so semi-noteworthy alt-right instigators who have come and disturbed Minneapolite protesters throughout Metro Surge and as recently as this past Saturday. So I knew I was going to show up. So on Saturday when I woke up, I got together with my team. We made sure we had good gear for filming, went over some safety and legal stuff to try to avoid getting hurt or arrested throughout the day, which other than the mace, everybody on my team did manage to escape serious injury and any legal consequences for anything that happened.
So let's go through what actually happened, Oscar. So in the video that I've seen, he's in this kind of, what would you call it? Not a truck, but I don't even know what type of vehicle. I don't even know what
I've been clowning on him for not using an American truck, given what his platform's about. Because it's a Honda Ridgeline. So that is a pickup truck.
So he's on this pickup truck and he's holding these signs up, these obviously very offensive signs, and just trying to rile people up. And then you get a few feet from the truck and a few feet from him, and what happens next?
Well, I'd sprinted over to where the vehicles were because I saw him coming up the sidewalk instead of instead of down the street, and then I just immediately saw that there was nobody in front of the bumper, so I just went and stood in front of the vehicle. Which in that moment, normally I advise people not to stand in front of vehicles. Right. In that moment, I was protesting the fact that he was on the sidewalk because I would have behaved very differently if they were creeping down the street, exercising their First Amendment with their horribly offensive signs like that. I can let a monster get away with because they're making their statement about the First Amendment. But when you're driving on the sidewalk is where I said, okay, we're just starting by breaking the rules, which is why I'm not. Yeah. So I'm willing to put my body on the line and say, I think I was yelling it at the driver, catch that murder charge. Like while I was standing in front of the vehicle with my knees against the bumper getting shoved. They were doing this thing where they step on the brakes and hit the gas so the engine revs. And then if you release the brakes momentarily, the car will like lurch really aggressively. So he's bumping into my legs with that, trying to get me off my footing. But once it got crowded enough that I saw he wasn't going anywhere, I immediately come around to the driver's side of the truck and hop up on this stone bench that's there so that I can get eye level with Jaden Scott and Jake Lang, who are at this point the only two people still standing up in the bed of this Honda Ridgeline.
Right.
Because I had some words for the guy and I wanted him to hear them. But by the time I get up on the bench, I've already been maced once or twice. So I just kind of had to fight through the pain a little bit to keep,
It looked extremely painful, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. So moments after, obviously you're in a lot of pain. What happens after that? Because my understanding is not too long after he pepper sprays you, he gets arrested, he gets handcuffed, and he goes to jail.
No, it was longer than I would have liked because my whole thing is that in terms of looking at fair treatment from law enforcement when it comes to these sorts of things, if me and a bunch of my buddies had done what he did, first of all, we'd be lucky to survive.
Yeah.
Pushing people on the sidewalk, pushing law enforcement that were encircling this vehicle, they were getting pushed by it. Like the difference in standards in not having any of their attention on the occupants of the vehicles who were brandishing weapons, pepper spraying. There were people dressed as ICE agents who maybe avoided a charge for impersonating law enforcement by not having an agency listed, but it did say agent on their vests. Those people were pepper spraying people and were carrying sidearms. Like if a group of my friends did that, we'd be lucky to not be shot on sight, first of all.
Yeah.
And we'd obviously be apprehended right there and then. They wouldn't escort us away from the crowd. They wouldn't escort us away from the lobby of City Hall here in Minneapolis, which was filled with police officers ready to respond to the scene, which is why I say that their explanation, they just needed to get him away from the crowd. I've been in too many of these events. The crowd density wasn't there for that excuse to make sense. They're perfectly capable of controlling a crowd of that size and makeup. I don't buy that at all. They actually escorted him down an entire city block in front of City Hall, and then once he got to the end at the curb, he sped away down a city street here in downtown Minneapolis at something like 50, 60 miles an hour. So they weren't even apprehended until like later in the day in a different city.
Everything that Minneapolis has gone through, as you know, especially with the ICE shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, everything that you guys have gone through out there in that city, and Aaron Rupert, who is a great journalist, is a friend of mine. He does this show sometimes, and what you guys have gone through in that, and the fact that you have to go through this with Jake Lang. But tell me if you disagree with this. And by the way, I'm glad you're doing better, and I'm glad he was arrested, and you're brave to even be out there. I'll be honest with you. I had to spend 2 hours just me and Jake Lang debating last month in Vegas. I really didn't want to do it. Most of the people that are in my inner circle said, don't even do it. Don't even give him the platform. It wasn't my show. It was another podcast. And in that podcast, I learned a few things. First of all, surprisingly, it's not an act. Like I believe Jake Lang actually believes this stuff.
I do believe him as well.
Yeah.
I always have to ask the question of how serious these people are. Every day I'm faced with people where the question is this what you're actually like, or are you doing a bit on my show? Yeah. And I can just say, for the people who might trust my opinion on it, I believe the guy. I think he's actually like that.
He's mentally deranged. I think he's extremely ignorant. Very stupid guy. And obviously he's got a lot of hate in his heart. The amazing thing about it is, and I even talked to him off camera, and he didn't really change. And I said, wait a sec, because he did a Heil Hitler salute in the middle of my debate with him. And obviously it's repulsive. And then I said, Jake, your mom is Jewish, which means you're Jewish. Even if you weren't Jewish, what a repulsive thing to do. But what is wrong with you, bro? And like, it just doesn't register in his head, even the hate that he's spewing. But, if he keeps doing what he's doing, something really bad is going to happen to him. He could, and again, I don't condone violence in any way, but again, if he keeps doing what he's doing, something very bad is going to happen, and I don't think he's going to stop. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be in jail, but I don't know what your opinions are on that, Oscar, but I think he's going to continue doing this.
Well, so that gets to some of the news that came out today. It was actually just like 45 minutes or so before I joined in with you. The news came out that Mary Moriarty here in Minneapolis, our city attorney, isn't going to be charging him with any felonies for what he did. And that doesn't leave off the table the possibility that they'll be charged with gross misdemeanors or misdemeanors. And also, they haven't specified if other people in his group have been charged with felonies or will be charged with felonies, but he will escape felony charges for Saturday. He was initially charged with conspiracy, which is loosey-goosey charge for this sort of thing, because it's a little difficult to draw your circle around what exactly is illegal about getting a bunch of your friends with weapons to drive down the sidewalk. But that was the closest thing that they had for it. And that to me is very disappointing, because I have been saying for months that this is a person who regularly comes to my city and assaults people. He does it in other places as well, but as somebody representing Minneapolis and the Twin Cities metro area and the state of Minnesota generally, I can say that he's somebody with whom we essentially have a personal beef, and somebody for whom we're very upset that the government, whether we're talking the federal government or the state governments, which are aware of him as a problem, they have failed to protect us from the guy. It should have protected us from him for him to be incarcerated for being a January 6th rioter, because he was
absolutely. I talked to him about that too. You're right about that. By the way, if you're just joining us, he is Oscar Quinton. He was pepper sprayed by Jake Lang, which did not look fun. Jake Lang later on.
To be clear, for all the people who want to get the facts right, Jake Lang didn't wield any pepper spray. I was pepper sprayed by his men,
okay,
by his associates. Men. Yeah.
Jake Lang's people, for lack of a better
his
term.
goons.
Yeah. I mean, what would you say to some people that would say, well, wait a second, why are you even showing up, giving this guy any attention at all? What would you, obviously it's your right to be there, but what would you say to those people?
I think the ideal outcome would be for 0 people to show up. I think that would be better than if 100 people show up, but I would say that 1,000 people showing up is better than 100 people showing up. And those 100 people are going to show up regardless of what we tell them. So I can see the value in ignoring him, but we can't get everybody to ignore him. And because we can't, we need to not have it look like the fair fight that he wants it to look like in terms of who's on what side. If he shows up with 50 friends and only 50 people who didn't listen to the guidance from somebody like me on not showing up, that to him lends credibility to what his side of this is. Oh, the monstrous bigots and the people of Minneapolis showed up in similar forces to speak their mind about what's happening. That to me is like the worst possible outcome. So it's for that reason that I say that when this sort of thing comes to your city, you got to show up.
My understanding is that you can't just pepper spray somebody. You have to feel like your life might be in jeopardy and you were a threat. So I'm not sure I saw that from you. So is there any repercussions for his men, for lack of a better term, that pepper sprayed you, assault charges, anything along those lines for what you've had to go through?
There should be. We have situations like Savannah Hernandez, who was assaulted at the Whipple Federal Building here in Minneapolis on April 11th by 3 members of the Ostrusco family, who are people who I can call, who I can say are on my side. They were on my team that day. And what we saw then is that not only did they get charges from the city, which were eventually lowered for 2 of the 3 of them, dropped for 2 of the 3 of them, but one of them got a fifth degree felony assault charge, or not fifth degree felony, 5th degree misdemeanor assault charge. But the federal government went after them and sought federal charges for what they did in defense of Savannah Hernandez. So I can apply that sort of standard to what he did and say, yes, of course you should be charged for pepper spraying me half a dozen times in a row. That's illegal.
I've had that family on my show as well also. And as I've said time and time again, nobody should ever put their hands on anybody. I would also say Savannah Hernandez, in my opinion, is a right-wing grifter who has milked that story every single day. Again, I don't condone anybody putting their hands on anybody. I've been very consistent on that. But I think she's a provocateur and a liar. I've been very clear on her.
Absolutely.
And clearly what happened to you, I do believe those people should be charged with something. You can't just pepper spray people in the face because you don't like what somebody is saying. So I would certainly think that applies to you as well. What would be your final message out there? Because I've said this to Jake Lang. Even MAGA doesn't accept him. Most of MAGA, even they don't accept Jake Lang. He's a wannabe neo-Nazi, whatever you'd like to call him, every despicable name in the book. But this is dangerous behavior. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Jake Lang is irrelevant. He's relevant in a sense that what he does is very dangerous. It can harm people. It could hurt people. You were hurt and people could die. I don't want that to happen no matter what side of the aisle you're on. So what would be your message to people out there that would say, this isn't a big deal. Don't give him any attention. He's a nobody without a following. What would be your message to people like that?
To anybody who thinks that his perspective and worldview and behavior and crimes are so out there, so right wing that they don't represent the meat and potatoes of what people on the right are rooting for right now, I will remind you that this is a person that Donald Trump himself personally pardoned. And if you are unwilling to consider the fact that a president that has run on a platform of getting people who voted for him protected from dangerous, violent criminals. He is a person who emboldened a dangerous, violent criminal to come into my city repeatedly, assaulting me and my friends and members of my community without sufficient legal consequence, which is the big thing here. We need to not allow it to be acceptable that law enforcement and the powers that be allow such a person to walk free with such a clear and obvious pattern of violent, lawless behavior. If that's not a big problem to you, you don't believe in law and order. Full stop.
I think that's really well said. And Oscar, since I have you on here and you live in that area, I have to ask you about Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Alex Preddy's family spoke out for the first time, and their interview was out today, and they seem like really wonderful people. Father, sister, mother, they seem like a wonderful family. And obviously the Renee Good situation, in my opinion, just as bad, right? But we haven't heard a lot or anything really from Renee Good's family. I don't believe they've done any interviews, but Alex Preddy's family did. And the more I hear from their family, even the more upset I get. They haven't even gotten an apology from the Trump administration after Stephen Miller called Alex Preddy an assassin. Alex Preddy's last words, as you know, Oscar, was, "Are you okay, ma'am?" He wasn't committing any crimes. He wasn't interfering. And I just think it was blatant murder, shot in the back. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but are there any updates on anything you can give us? Because my understanding is the Renee Good investigation wasn't really an investigation, and Kash Patel called off the investigation. They didn't do any ballistics. They didn't do an autopsy. They didn't do anything that you would normally do in any officer-involved shooting. And in the Alex Preddy situation, when he was clearly shot in the back unarmed, no accountability. No accountability, and Jonathan Ross is back out on the streets. Like, you live in that area, so you probably know even more about this than I do. Like, what can you tell us about these two situations?
Well, in particular, we can judge vaguely that these stories weren't handled in the way they would have been if the roles were reversed, or if maybe some different skin colors were involved, or that sort of thing. But straightforwardly, when a federal law enforcement officer kills somebody in a state, when a homicide occurs at the hands of a federal law enforcement officer, there's supposed to be two independent investigations, one from the federal level and one from the state level. In the same vein as the way that if you get into a fender bender with a cop, he has to call a different jurisdiction to come write the paperwork on it so that they're not investigating themselves. That didn't happen. The evidence was hidden from the state investigators in both Renee Good's case and in Alex Preddy's case. And then months later, I think one or potentially both of them did get some evidence, but with so many months past, it's hard to tell to what degree it's been doctored. We have to have some kind of doubt about this process not being followed normally. So it's the same thing that I'll say about Jake Lang, which is that if you see this and you think, how is it that there haven't been a proper legal consequences for this? How is it that there hasn't been fair investigations? How is it that these people who are so clearly a danger to society not only aren't being taken off the streets, but in case of people like Jonathan Ross, aren't even being stripped of the title and the authority they wield and the weapons they wield? If that is upsetting to you, understand that to somebody who lives in Minneapolis and has been seeing violence from law enforcement for quite a lot longer than the current Trump administration, but in particular the lens of this current Trump administration, understand from a neighbor of Alex Preddy and Renee Good's that none of us are surprised, that none of this is surprising to us. This is what's normal here. And if you don't want that to become normal where you live, now's the time to speak up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Oscar. It's just so sad. I just feel for Renee Good and Alex Preddy's families. Of course, the 26-year-old man in Maine that was shot with his 3-year-old in the back seat. And of course, we had this Mexican national in Houston that was killed. I believe he was murdered by ICE as well. It's just awful. It's just absolutely awful. And it has to stop. And I'm with you 100%. Well, Oscar, listen, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm sorry for what you had to go through. I appreciate you for being on the right side of history and standing up as an American and calling out these horrible, horrific people. That's all really we can do at this point. And let's hope that Jake Lang spends a significant amount of time behind bars, because he certainly deserves it, and the people that pepper sprayed you as well, my friend. I appreciate you coming on. And if anything out there in Minneapolis is going on, we'd love to have you back on, okay?
I'll drop you a line.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Appreciate the time. You have a good one, okay?
You as well.
All right. There you go, everybody. Oscar Quinton, who was assaulted by Jake Lang in Minneapolis a few days ago over the weekend. Luckily, he's doing better. Jake Lang, his bond has been revoked, so hopefully he'll spend some significant time behind bars. I don't know. Seems like a really intelligent young man, Oscar Quinton. And I'm glad there are people like him out there in Minneapolis. There's a lot of really good people, by the way, in Minneapolis. A lot of people who I've talked to who really stood up and went through hell in that city, and they stood up to these ICE agents. And I think it's a big part of why Bovino was forced into retirement and Kristi Noem was fired, basically. people like Oscar. So I give them a lot of credit. And I think Oscar is a true patriot and a good dude. And I'm glad he's okay. And for the pain and suffering that he had to go through, maybe hopefully Lang will spend a little bit more time behind bars. By the way, I did debate Jake Lang, as I mentioned last month. That hasn't been released yet. It was off the walls crazy. One of the craziest debates I've ever had. It was insane. Speaking of debates, before we get to our clips, I will be doing another 10 versus 1 debate on August 31st. I'm a very busy man. This will be in Las Vegas. And then on September 9th, I will be debating Alex Stein in Dallas, Texas. Yes, and we have the image that Numchuck just put up there in regards to the show or debate, for lack of a better term, that I'll be doing. There it is. You see it right out there. It's a funny picture. It's like we're two UFC fighters. That would be Alex Stein. I'm going to be debating him on abortion. And yes, I do have some tricks up my sleeve. I'm going to get Alex pretty good. The first 10 people, and you see that QR code on the bottom there. If you want to get tickets, you can meet me in person. I'll be out there talking to everybody. You go on that QR code and you can purchase tickets. I think tickets are under $20. There's going to be a lot of other debates. Chris Mowry is going to be out there too. He's a live TikToker who's got a huge following. I'm a big fan of what Chris does. He's going to be out there debating as well. Kyla, not so erudite, is going to be debating out there as well. The whole gang. Take Back America, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're out there at the RNC, I'm going to be out there too with a bodyguard, but I will be out there. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. So I got a busy few weeks coming up. Of course, as I mentioned before, quickly, Will Witt from Turning Point USA is going to be debating me tomorrow. He's a representative from Turning Point, so you know it's going to get fiery. The Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Get his take on Caroline Leavitt and who he thinks is going to be the next press secretary. Owen Schroyer, formerly of InfoWars, is going to be joining us on the show Thursday. Ethan Alexander in studio on Friday. All right. So for those of you that might watch Fox News, I've always said that Jesse Waters is an absolute piece of human garbage. He is a talentless weasel. He is a talking head for Fox News. I do give El-Sayed a lot of credit for doing Fox News. And I've said this about people on the left all the time, and it's a criticism on both sides. Go on the opposition. The fact that he was willing to go on Fox News yesterday, to me, says a lot. And I thought he just absolutely schooled Jesse Waters on a number of different issues. So Waters asked him about the possibility of him wanting to abolish ICE, and El-Sayed just turns it right back in his face. Watch this.
Absolutely. We'll see how much we agree on. I know I don't agree with you on this. You want to abolish ICE. Who's going to deport the criminal aliens from the country?
Well, you and I both know that we've, long before we ever had ICE, we had INS. We were able to enforce our immigration policies without shooting people in the face and the back of the head. And we just celebrated our 250th anniversary. That was an anniversary of throwing away tyranny. Now, to bring that tyranny back under the guise of the U.S. government itself, that seems to me to be inconsistent with the freedom you and I both love.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a dodge, Abdul. They did the same thing as ICE back then, INS. Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
In the face and the back of the head.
Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
We had, no, I mean, to your point, Jesse, let me just answer the question.
To answer it, how many do we have?
Fewer when we had INS. To your answer,
exactly. Exactly. We now have
INS worked a lot better.
Abdul, listen, we had twice as many illegals now when we had INS.
So your argument,
you have to have the manpower to do it.
If you want to do that correlation, we have ICE now, and we have far, far more undocumented people. So ICE is clearly not working. It's just shooting like American citizens in the face and the back of the head. So
well,
if you're okay
illegals
with
are
that,
shooting people in the face too.
To disagree.
Abdul, you got.
All right, so obviously I disagree with what El-Sayed said there, or I'm sorry, I disagree with what Jesse Waters said there, and I agree with what El-Sayed said. You know, when Obama was deporting so many people, we didn't have innocent people that were getting gunned down in the streets, and obviously Jesse Waters couldn't correlate with that. You know, and it's insane. As we go to the YouTube super chat, John Doggett, thank you very much for your very generous donation, John. Really appreciate you. He says, MAGAs are so stupid they think Pensacola is a soft drink. That's actually really funny. I didn't hear that one before. John, keep bringing those jokes, man. We need to laugh a little bit, and I appreciate your support. Anybody who wants their comments or questions to be read live on the air, just check it out. Go to our YouTube super chat. So we're talking about Jesse Waters and the interview he did with El-Sayed yesterday, and I thought he made Jesse Waters look really, really bad, if that's even possible, as bad as he already looked. This was the point where they start talking about Pete Hegseth, and I love this part of the interview where El-Sayed just hammers them when it comes to Pete Hegseth, who used to be a weekend anchor on Fox News.
Rather than on the side of everyday Michiganders.
No, because I don't want you guys to blow the country up. Do you know how much the federal budget is now?
No, neither do I. Here's exactly
the federal budget.
You guys want to have Pete Hegseth.
And you don't answer the question. Do you know what the federal budget is?
Raise. No. I just want to talk about this. Look, you want to talk about budgets? I'm happy to do that. The guy who used to work on your channel, I think he was like the 6th host on the 5. He wanted to raise our military budget to $1.5 trillion, and you don't seem to be upset about that. What, so we can fight a war we don't know how to get out of, to raise our gas prices $5 a gallon? That doesn't make sense to me, Jesse. You want to talk to you rather than on the side of everyday Michiganders.
No, because I don't want you.
So, again, you want to talk about the deficit and you want to talk about wasteful spending. Something that Jesse Waters will never talk about is the fact that Donald Trump got us $8.2 trillion in debt right off the bat. But you know, Jesse Waters won't talk about that, or the fact that Pete Hegseth is asking for an enormous more amount of money to fight this war that they said was over 4 to 6 weeks ago. Or I should say, they said it was over when it started. They said it would be over within 4 to 6 weeks, and they already won. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And El-Sayed, again, is 150% correct. He's 150% correct on this. And unfortunately, this is what they spew on Fox News. Thank you, Chloe, for your support, who says, oh, yeah, Canada cannot have back Ryan Reynolds, Justin Bieber, Celine Dion, or Jim Carrey. We will pay them to take back Ted Cruz. That's actually pretty funny. So then this is the point of the interview where they start talking about Americans and where they want to spend their money. And this is where Jesse Waters just gets absolutely destroyed. Watch this.
Clearly you don't. And you don't seem to care. But I don't think most Americans want to spend that much money on military escapades so that the folks stranded on the USS Abraham Lincoln can't even get a sausage for breakfast. I just think that we could do a lot better with our money, Jesse, and I think that's where you and I disagree.
I think if you spend $4 trillion, everything else is going to get really expensive. You're going to look.
Yeah, well, guess what? Who made the decision to go to war in Iran, Jesse? You chipmunk, right-wing moron buffoon, you. Who made that choice to give the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%? Who made the choice to invade Iran, where a war is costing us $2 billion a day, you clown? And here's, well, again, El-Sayed makes a great point talking about Donald Trump, who literally wants to blame everybody but himself when it comes to the economy, when it comes to gas prices, when literally it comes to absolutely anything. He wants to blame everybody else but himself. And this is where El-Sayed makes that point.
Foreign policy.
Or you talk about inflation. I'd be happy to talk about inflation. Jesse, you actually said the word. Because everywhere I go in Michigan, people are talking about the fact that they've never had to worry as much about life being as unaffordable as they say right now. And I get it. Donald Trump likes to blame everything on his predecessor. But let's be clear, this is Donald Trump's economy right now. And he's about to make everything so much worse because he's in a vanity war with the Prime Minister of Canada. And look, like, I'm in Michigan, and you're from New York, right? So you know Canadians, man. They're the only people I know who apologize before they even did this thing. So now they're raising the tariff to 50%. What's that going to do to inflation?
Yeah,
it's true. It hurts American consumers. Canada is only doing this in a reaction to what Donald Trump has done to them. And all Jesse Waters can do is laugh like the stupid mushroom gobbling chipmunk that he is. And then Waters makes another joke after, again, El-Sayed makes very valid points on the scare tactics of the Trump administration, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Relied to. So let's move on.
Yes.
You said here, I want to move on because we do have to hit a break.
Let me just finish the point.
Please.
You told me you want to say something, and I want to just finish my point, okay?
Yeah.
If the only answer that Mike Rogers and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have to this economy is to point to me and say there are scary words associated with him, I'm just going to tell you those scary words are not raising gas prices or keeping you from seeing your doctor. I'm interested in getting money out of politics, putting money in your pocket, passing Medicare for all. And I think that actually will solve problems in Michigan.
I'm not scared of you,
If you think
Abdul. I just think you're a little
my name
misguided.
or running
That's all.
against my faith is going to fix problems, go ahead.
No.
I'm not scared of you. I just think you're misguided. Well, maybe you should talk to some of your coworkers who think all Muslims should be deported. You cuck, you moron. And here's the point where El-Sayed talks about healthcare, which is a huge issue. And as you know, in the last 10 years, Donald Trump still doesn't have a healthcare plan. The Republicans still don't have a healthcare plan. And again, Jesse Waters has no answer.
Every single year. But don't you think we should have a right to health care? Don't you think that'd be a good thing in America? Can we just say that?
75% of the country likes the health care coverage they have. I don't want to screw that up.
No, 75% of the country wants guaranteed health care through Medicare for all. So maybe you have your facts. I guess
yeah, we'll find out.
Alternative facts over here.
We'll
so
find
I'll
out.
give you that.
We'll find out in November. But that's a Gallup poll. You might not believe it, but
Yes, we will.
I'm telling you what it is.
Yes, we will.
You said Colin Kaepernick was a good guy, and you said the NFL was racist.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but well, that's just a Gallup poll. No, most of Americans believe in universal health care. Most Americans believe it is a right for a human being to have health care, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Jesse Waters is delusional. Absolutely and positively delusional. Now, of course, the next thing that Jesse Waters decides to do is bring up transgenders, because those are the top two topics these days on Fox News. They want to talk about the WNBA. They want to talk about transgenders and how they're going to harm your children and all this other stuff. Look at the shiny object in the room. That's what they want. They certainly don't want to talk about the measles outbreak. But yes, that's right. Here's Jesse Waters talking about transgender surgery.
The idea that the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. I just think the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. And if you're a minor,
You want to
your
try
doctor
on
and your
kids?
parent. Now, if you disagree with that, if you disagree that healthcare decisions need to be made by a doctor and their parents and the patient, then we think we agree to disagree. But you want to put government inside.
So, Abdul, you're a doctor, right?
Selectively. I am.
So you think it's okay
go
for
ask
a parent to
you don't
slash
believe me,
his
so just
kid's
go ask Columbia
ding-a-ling off?
University.
You think that's okay?
I mean, do you really want to have this conversation? Are you circumcised?
Yeah, but I mean, that's
Jesse,
a
are you?
personal question.
Okay,
doctor.
So you probably should want to move on.
And
Yeah,
circumcision's different than castration.
I think it's a problem. It's a problem that you think that you get to decide what happens between a parent, a doctor, and a patient. And I'm just saying that yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's ding-a-ling. So if you really want to bring that up, you can. I just think you guys are really selective about how you want to talk about these things.
Abdul, Michigan's not going for that. That is sick stuff.
What was sick about what he said? Now, I would agree that a circumcision is different than transgender surgery. I don't think that was the point that El-Sayed was trying to make there. The point that he was trying to make is, do you really want to get into this conversation? Because this should be a conversation between doctors, psychologists, the child, and parents. That was the point that El-Sayed was trying to make, and I think he was trying to embarrass Jesse Waters a little bit, and I think it worked. Why do you want to talk about this? Why do you want to talk about this specific issue? Because that's all that Fox News wants to talk about 24/7. Children's ding-a-lings. I feel like I'm having a conversation with those that are in the Epstein files, but really, seriously, that's what they want to talk about. And here is the point at the end where El-Sayed talks a little bit about Mike Rogers, his opponent. And listen, I'll be very clear on this. This was the point where I knew that El-Sayed got Jesse Waters. And I don't think Jesse Waters is much of a Mike Rogers fan either. And you could tell by the laugh in this situation. Watch this.
So many folks in the community to give kids glasses, take on corporate polluters, eliminate medical debt. I'm looking forward to continuing to have those conversations, and I feel really good about being able to bring communities together and beat Mike Rogers, who you and I both agree is a beta and won't come on your show and won't debate me in November.
Didn't agree to that, but that's funny. Reparations, do you support that?
But you laughed at it. Because you didn't say you didn't agree. Like, Jesse, you're very good at telling me when you don't agree with me, but you actually laughed at that joke because you actually agree. Sorry.
Reparations.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. When Jesse Waters laughs, that's when you know you got him. When he has no answer and he just laughs. Listen, I thought El-Sayed did a really good job. More people on the left need to go on those shows. I understand Jesse Waters is a MAGA cuck. I get it. I understand Sean Hannity is a despicable human being. I understand Laura Ingraham is a racist witch. There are a lot of really bad people at Fox News. I get it. I don't disagree with you. But it's still important to go on those shows with some of those horrible people. El-Sayed not only held his own, I thought he destroyed Jesse Waters. I've been saying that for years now. More people on the left need to go on Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax. People criticize me for going on some of these right-wing podcasts and right-wing networks, and I always tell them that's what you need to do to fight the good fight. Sometimes you have to combat these people on their own shows, and I've been more than happy to do it. Maybe I'm one of the few people on the left that does it. There are some others, but I'm always willing to do it because I think it's important. I think it's important to spread the message and be on the right side of history and combat the BS on these networks with these hosts like Jesse Waters. I think it's really important. Listen, the fact of the matter is that Fox News is not a news network. Now, I'm probably not telling many of you anything you don't already know. There are people on the right that think Fox News is a real news network. No, it's a propaganda network that spreads hate and bigotry and misinformation. We could be talking about the Dominion voting machines where they had to pay out almost $1 billion. There's a lot of different things on any given day that they say that are pure lies. They'll show black people committing crimes 24/7. Won't talk about white supremacy, though. The Tucker Carlson, who used to work on Fox News, the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. Yeah, okay. Tell that to the people who were shot and killed in that Walmart in Texas, El Paso, or all those innocent black people that were killed in that church. Tell them that the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. It's not. This is not a real news network, and I bring that up because you want to talk about an absolute embarrassment. This guy, Enos Cantor, is such a scumbag piece of human garbage, and he obviously is still desperate for attention. And none other than the evil racist witch, the scarecrow witch racist, Laura Ingraham, shut up and dribble. Really, that's what she sounds like. She's a racist scarecrow. Invited Mr. Cantor on her show. Why? To attack transgenders, mock transgenders, and mock the WNBA. And this situation that took place the other day in this basketball game, this WNBA game, where Cantor was thrown out, and he's asked a little bit about the exchange they had.
Literally the next position, she came back and she started yelling at me and said, she's not going to sleep with you.
Wait, who's not going to sleep with you?
Sophia Cunningham is not going to sleep with
I don't even understand. Are you trying to?
I'm not
sleep
trying
with Sophie
to. No,
Cunningham?
definitely not. Definitely not. I want to make this very clear. Definitely not. And
Yeah, I don't understand. What are you trying to sleep with Sophie Cunningham? I don't really understand. What's going on here? Oh my God, Laura Ingram's voice alone makes me want to. I won't even say. It's just insane. Now and then Cantor gets to the point in this interview where he's saying they're terrified because I might actually get drafted. By the way, the WNBA put out a statement already today saying that Cantor cannot enter the WNBA draft. I told you that this was going to happen, but Cantor now making the case they're just really scared of me because I'm going to be entering the draft.
coming to the game, and everything they said is a lie.
Is he scared? I mean, I don't know if you know that, Coach. I mean, I think they're all terrified. They're terrified of the LGBTQIA, like, I don't know, mafia. I don't know what people are calling them, but they're terrified.
They're terrified because I might actually get drafted next year and play against their big man. So, and I'm going to probably drop around like 60 point and 40 rebound a game. That's the reason that they're scared.
I think they're really scared. Enos, I don't like you because you're not white, but I think they're really scared of you, Enos. That's Laura Ingraham for you in a nutshell. What an evil racist witch she really is. Now, this just goes to show you, you can point this out on Fox News every day, what an unserious network this is and how stupid Laura Ingraham is. This is the question, the big one, that Laura Ingraham asked Cantor. Watch this.
About it's a publicity stunt. Right. You're not really a trans woman. Are you a trans woman?
Well, I want to make this very clear.
Are you a trans woman?
Listen, Section 13, right? Article 13, Section 1 says if you identify as a woman, then you're allowed to play.
So you are identifying as a woman tonight?
I identify as a woman. Sure, yes.
Okay.
So I can play.
But they're never going to let you play.
Why not? I mean, that's the rule. That's the rule that they put, and I'm just following the rules. If they ever come out and say, okay, we are changing the rules, I respect their decision. I will, follow the rules. But right now, if you identify as a woman, you're allowed to play. And I am identifying as a woman, and I should be allowed to play.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great journalist. Are you a trans woman? Hi, I'm Laura Ingraham, and today we have Enos Cantor on the show, and I'm going to ask him if he's a woman. By the way, this is why I can't stand Sophie Cunningham, too, because she's friends with Enos Cantor. The damage that Enos Cantor is doing to the WNBA by mocking the league, you would think that Sophie Cunningham would understand that. I understand. I agree with Sophie. Yes, transgender women should not be competing in the WNBA. They already made the announcement. The fact that Sophie Cunningham is friends with this idiot, Enos Cantor, the fact that Sophie Cunningham is friends with Riley Gaines leads me to believe that she is going down the route of WNBA grifter because she averages 3 points a game. She sucks. She's a below average WNBA player, and she's trying to figure out how can I make more money. And I'm telling you, she's taking I'm telling you, when she finishes her WNBA career, Fox News will be ready to have her on the show. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. But Cantor talks about his friendship with Sophie Cunningham. Watch this.
You said Sophie Cunningham is a friend. Have you talked to her about what happened last night?
I texted her after the game. I was like, listen, just please focus on your game because you are a national treasure and she is an American hero and she should be protected at all costs because she's not only inspiring the young girls in America, but all over the world. So she is an idol. She's a hero. So I was like, just focus on your game. Let all the outside talk. Don't distract you from outside talk.
Given the anger.
No, she's not. She's averaging 3 points a game. You know who a hero is? Caitlin Clark, because she's not getting involved in this conversation, and she actually is going to go down as one of the best female basketball players of all time. Sophie Cunningham is averaging a bucket a game. She sucks. No, she's not a hero just because she said women shouldn't, transgender women shouldn't play in the WNBA. I said the same thing. Does that make me a hero? No, of course not. She's actually gaining, okay? When you look at what Colin Kaepernick did, okay, you can argue that it hurt his football career, him taking a knee. Some people would call that a hero. It has not hurt Sophie Cunningham's career. She didn't have much of a career. Again, averaging 3 to 4 points a game. This is making her money. It's getting her name out there. It's getting racist idiots, I guess, to buy her jerseys. It's helped her. She's not a hero. She didn't sacrifice anything. Tell me what Sophie Cunningham has sacrificed. What, because she took a hard foul? She's done the same thing to other players. To me, a hero is somebody that puts themselves last and to help others. What the hell has Sophie Cunningham done to help other people? The hell has she done? And she's friends with Enos Cantor, you scumbag, you pathetic weasel. She's friends with Riley Gaines, you pathetic weasel. Screw you, Sophie Cunningham. Screw you. I'm done now with these people saying, oh, well, Sophie didn't do anything wrong. Look at the people she's associating herself with. I guarantee you, Sophie Cunningham will be getting a job at Fox News before you know it. And here's the point where, again, Laura Ingraham knows nothing about basketball. Shut up and dribble. It's interesting when somebody like Enos Cantor comes in studio to attack transgenders, all of a sudden Laura Ingraham doesn't say, shut up and dribble. But if they agree with her, clearly, look at, for example, Kid Rock. Did she ever tell Kid Rock, shut up and sing? No, of course not. Did she ever say that about Ted Nugent? Shut up and sing, Ted. No, because if they agree with her, doesn't matter if they're in the entertainment business or they're professional athletes. As long as they agree with me, then it's okay. But if I have an African American that doesn't agree with me, who happens to be one of the best basketball players of all time, shut up and dribble. There's a reason why her own brother won't talk to this evil racist witch. That's what she is. Here's the point where she asked Enos Cantor. It's a ridiculous question, by the way, how many points you would score in a WNBA game.
But I think, you know what? She's a strong woman. She's an independent woman. I think she's going to handle this perfectly.
How many points do you think you score in your first WNBA game against the #1 team? How many points?
You know what? I mean, I think I'm going to try to beat Will Chamberlain's record. I might go something like over 100 points for sure.
Any fouls? Would you be called for any fouls in that game?
I mean, I think they're definitely going to try to, pick on me. But you know what? I'm just going to go out there and have fun. I'm ready to play, and I'm prepared to play.
Have you?
Yeah, you're prepared to play. Nobody in the NBA wants you because you suck and you can't play defense. That's why. Even at your best, you couldn't play defense. My Celtics got rid of you because you suck. Okay? Nobody in the league has signed you to a contract, not even a 10-day contract, because you suck. You're still young enough to be in the league. You suck. Just like Sophie Cunningham. You both suck. You'll never be an all-star. You never will an all-star. Same thing with Sophie Cunningham. She's averaging a bucket a game. You suck. And then there's Laura Ingraham asking Cantor about women's sports. And here's the best part, right? Here's Laura Ingraham saying, thank you for standing up for women.
You want to cancel at the last minute or not? So I'm getting those things under my manager's name.
All right. Well,
So.
it's good to see you. I'm glad you're standing up for women's sports. This really matters to our viewers and to me personally, and I know girls across the country. Thank you very much. And that's Cantor Freedom. All right.
Yeah, I'm sure there's women. I'm sure there's young girls across the country that can't wait to buy those Enos Cantor jerseys. You frickin' idiot. Oh, you're doing so much for women. Thank you so much. Why? Going to a WNBA game, wearing a shirt, trying to piss off players on the floor. Oh, you're such a hero. You're doing so much for women. You're doing so much for women's sports. God, these people are so insufferable. Laura Ingraham is the worst. She's one of the worst human beings around. The worst. An absolute hypocrite. She doesn't care about. She couldn't even name 3 players in the WNBA. She knows nothing about the WNBA. She knows nothing about women's sports. She doesn't care about women's sports. When was the last time she went to a WNBA game? I bet you she's never gone to a game. When was the last time she went to any professional women's sporting event? I'm so glad you care so much about women's sports. Oh my God. There's a reason why her brother won't even talk to her, because she's such a bigot. She's such a bigot and horrible human being. The evil, racist witch, Laura Ingraham, ladies and gentlemen, and Enos Cantor, I wish him nothing but the worst. What a pathetic loser this guy is. No NBA team wants to sign him to any contracts because he was a failed NBA player who couldn't play defense, and he was a defensive liability. And even if you don't know anything about basketball, you would know that this guy only wanted to do this. Cantor only wanted to do this to put his name out there and mock female basketball players. And he should be banned from every WNBA arena in the country. He should never be allowed. If you can ban Charles Oakley at Madison Square Garden, you certainly can ban Enos Cantor from going to any WNBA game ever again. What a weasel. And what a terrible representative of like the NBA, right? I'm sure there are plenty of NBA players out there that support the WNBA that are embarrassed by this guy's behavior. What a jackass. What a loser jackass. Just like Royce White, who got like 8% of the vote. A bunch of frickin' idiots. All right, so the number to call if you want to be a part of the program, we'll take some phone calls, 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call, 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. A bunch of different topics that we've been talking about today, of course. If you missed it, we did have Donald Trump on the first segment, also known as John DiDomenico. That was a lot of fun. Talked a little bit for a little while with a young man who was assaulted by Jake Lang in Minneapolis. Jake Lang, I believe, is now behind bars. We just saw his mugshot. His name is Oscar Quinton. He was assaulted by Jake Lang. And I hope Jake Lang gets a long prison sentence. I don't know if he will, because my understanding is these were misdemeanor charges, but hopefully maybe they'll raise them to felony charges. I don't know. But Jake Lang is just you want to talk about a complete embarrassment to this country. Literally Laura Ingraham with male genitalia. Let's put it that way, ladies and gentlemen. As we go to the YouTube super chat, Laker Dodge Guy. Thank you for the donation. Says, I came across your show a month ago. Since then, I've been turning in every day. I laugh so hard when you trigger maggots. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Laker, man. I appreciate that. I don't want to offend you. I did grow up a Boston Celtics fan, but I got to tell you, I'm a Celtics fan no more, for more reasons than you could ever imagine. The fact that Enos Cantor ever put on a Boston Celtics jersey is an embarrassment to me. It's an embarrassment to me. Again, the number to call, 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again, 702-221-SAVE if you want to be a part of the program. Keep those YouTube super chats coming in, and I will be reading them on air, questions and comments. Let's go to Brandon. I believe he's calling out of Michigan, wants to talk a little bit about Al-Sayed. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, Brian, how are you today?
Hey, what's up, man?
You know, I'm here in Michigan, and this is my gut feeling. Abdul will win the Senate race here. I'll tell you why.
I hope so.
He's actually talking about things people care about. He's talking about affordability, the war in Iran, and things, and how to make people's life better, just like how Zoran Mamdani did in New York. And with also Trump being in the White House right now, the Republicans have zero chance here. I'm just saying, my gut feeling tells me he will win big time.
I mean, the polls are showing that he's still behind a little bit, though, right?
I know the polls are showing that he's behind, but when push comes to shove, people will vote for him because he's actually talking about.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Matter, such as,
I understand. I agree with you, by the way. I think it's a good thing that he is talking about the important subjects while Republicans want to talk about transgenders. So I completely agree with you. Let me ask you this. Do you think he gained anything from going on Fox News with Jesse Waters?
Oh, absolutely. It just shows that he wants to focus on issues. Fox News, MAGA, and the rest of the Trump world wants to focus on things that don't even affect everyday people. I mean, it's a joke.
Well, listen, I hope you're right. There are people, some lunatics, and listen, there are people on the far left, which clearly I'm not on, that think that El-Sayed is some sort of anti-Semite. I don't get that sense with him at all. And they did the same thing.
He's not.
They did the same thing with Mamdani. And I'm like, name me a policy that Mamdani has implemented that you would consider anti-Semitic. Listen, I'm just as critical of the Israeli government as El-Sayed and Mamdani are. I think we all should be critical of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government, right? I don't think that's anti-Semitic. What has this guy said that is anti-Semitic? Like, he's made statements that have completely been taken out of context about Sharia law and other things. And I don't see anything that he has said, to my knowledge, that is anti-Semitic, and I think he's a good man. I think he's a decent man that married his college sweetheart, both doctors. I think they've lived great lives together. I think he's a good family man. I think he cares about America. He cares about the community. And I would say the same thing about Mamdani. But all they want to do is attack them for their name, they're anti-Semitic, and attack them because they're brown. I'm so sick of MAGA. Like, that's an understatement. I'm just so sick of it. Would you agree with that?
100%. I mean, I'm voting for him.
Good. And you're a former Republican, right?
Absolutely. I'm just done with all the games from the Republican Party. They don't care about actual issues. They want to focus on culture war issues and things that don't matter. Let's focus on affordability, health care, spending money at home on our citizens opposed to sending it overseas. So
well, guess
that's
what?
where I'm at with everything.
You are not alone. And I think you are the reason, as many others in this country that are former Republicans are very fed up with what's going on in this country. We have Owen Schroyer coming on this show Thursday. I have disagreed with Owen on almost everything. But over the course of the last year, he has echoed what you are feeling, that Trump did not deliver. Even if you liked what he was promising the American people, which obviously I didn't, he's still not delivering on any of that stuff. He hasn't lowered prices, right? He hasn't ended the war in Ukraine. He started a new war. And that's why I respect Owen Schroyer for speaking up, and people like you that are former Republicans that are speaking out against this Trump administration. Quite frankly, at this point, Brandon, I don't know how anybody can defend this Trump administration and the damage that they've done to this country in almost the first 2 years of this administration. It's unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and people, even people that were Trump voters, are at home saying to themselves that he's doing a bad job. Look at the economy. He is the only president in recent memory that has single-handedly destroyed the economy by his own doing. Joe Biden inherited a lot from the pandemic with inflation, gas prices, everything else that was a result of something that he didn't cause. But Trump is single-handedly jacking up the price of fuel by starting this war, putting on tariffs with Canada and everywhere else around the world, passing the cost on to the consumers. Yeah. And so it's all Trump's fault. And now he's starting a trade war with Canada. It's like he's the only idiot out there that can actually ruin a relationship with Canada of all countries. It's not like it's Iraq or something like that. It's Canada. Yeah. So that just shows you where Trump's at and his incompetence.
I agree. I got a little worried there for a second because when you said he was jacking up, I thought you were about to bring up Natalie Harp's name. So I apologize for that. But anyway.
Oh, no, he's incapable of that anyway.
You're probably right.
So that's another story.
You're probably right about that. Brandon, I don't know, man. You're starting to make a lot of sense. I don't know. You're starting to make a lot of sense,
yeah,
Brandon.
I hope so.
You are. All right. Well, I'm proud of you, pal. I appreciate you calling in, okay?
All right. Have a good week.
All right. You too. Thanks, Brandon. Brandon's making a lot of sense. He called into this show a few years ago, and I got into it with him because he was a Trump supporter. This guy's starting to make a lot of sense now, and I'm proud of him because he's paying attention. He's paying attention, and I give him credit for, speaking truth to power, and I'm glad he's going to be voting for El-Sayed. Obviously, he's going to be voting for a Democrat in 2028, and quite frankly, I am proud of Brandon for doing his homework and caring about the issues that matter to all Americans. So I'm really happy to hear that. And kudos to you, Brandon. And please call back again anytime. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. Chuck is calling out of Las Vegas, wants to also talk about El-Sayed. Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, I was so blown away when I saw that interview last night. And I've got another House member. I ran into his bedroom and put it on his TV. He steamrolled Jesse Waters. He steamrolled him. El-Sayed is so intelligent, so intelligent. And I have never seen those expressions on Jesse Waters' face ever. He was.
So I agree, but here's why: not enough people on the left do those shows, right? And so there these anchors and these hosts. And I think Jesse Waters is an unserious, extremely ignorant person, but they're not used to doing those kinds of interviews. Do you remember when James Tellerico, this is something that went viral. This was years ago. Do you remember when he went on Fox News and he battled Pete Hegseth? Do you remember that? It's a great interview. It's a great interview.
I'm not
James
sure
Tellerico said, will you admit that Trump lost the 2020 election? And Pete Hegseth not only wouldn't respond, but then said, I'm here to ask the questions, not you. Made Pete Hegseth look like the clown that he is. And that's exactly what El-Sayed did to Jesse Waters yesterday. Jesse Waters grew up in my hometown. He is a scumbag. He is a talented weasel who is not a serious person. And the fact that there are people on the right that are fans of his, you can understand why they voted for Donald Trump. But yes, to echo what you just said, I thought El-Sayed held his own very well. And you know you got Jesse Waters when all he can do is giggle and laugh like a little girl.
Yes, and something else I'd like to add real quick.
Sure.
Laura Ingraham.
Yep.
I'm
Laura Ingraham.
It's funny. What do I want to get to? I mean, you say her own brother won't even talk to her. I've just gone through a year of EMDR therapy. It's for people that have had trauma. It's really good too. It's good medicine. Mm-hmm. I was pretty much raised in a cult and didn't know it. My dad was a total authoritarian dictator, singled out, divided his children, singled out the weakest. That was me, the scapegoat. My oldest sister was the golden child. Really evil, but I see a lot of similarities in Laura Ingram's family that she grew up in. And these are based on comments that her own brothers made about her. He says she is the way she is because she's never been loved or she doesn't know love, and I agree with that. That's true.
Sad, but why did her brother? Why didn't her brother come out that same way?
Because her brother was probably the scapegoat in her family, and she was probably the golden child.
Well, maybe I can tell you that might be true. I hear what you're saying. That makes sense. No excuse for what she does every day. The lying, the bigotry, attacking brown people every day, attacking gay people every day. That's why her own brother, who happens to be gay, won't even talk to her anymore. Laura Ingraham is a racist piece of human garbage, a bigot, and she is the worst. I would, listen, there are a lot of horrible people at Fox News. Sean Hannity is a horrific human being, a complete phony. Who's that little weasel? I'm forgetting his name. Greg Gutfeld, another little weasel scumbag. There's a lot of horror. I think Jessica Torlov is phenomenal. There are a few people on Fox News that I certainly have a lot of respect for, but I got to tell you, there's some bad ones out there, and I put Laura Ingraham right at the top of the list, my friend. I really do appreciate your call, and I'm glad you got some help. You sound like a very intelligent man. Jihad is calling out of North Carolina. Hello, Jihad.
But I got to tell you.
Lower your radio.
Hello?
Yeah, lower your radio for me, please, sir, because we have a little bit of a delay. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Brian. Just a quick question about Abdul El-Sayed. I just don't understand why, if Republicans believe Medicare for all is such a bad idea, like they claim, why don't they debate the actual policy on its merits?
Good question.
Instead of attacking
it's a very good question, and I do have an answer for you, because they don't have a replacement plan. That's why. They don't have a plan for the American people. As you know, Jihad, for the last 9 or 10 years, Republicans have been bitching and complaining about Obamacare. We heard that there was a plan that was going to be released in 2 weeks. It's going to be released in a month. Donald Trump never provided anything. He never provided a plan for the American people. So all they do is they complain, but they don't have a replacement plan. That's why they don't want to have real, genuine discussions with Democrats on coming up with a plan because they know they don't have one. That's why.
Yeah, and another thing too is they complain that we can't pay for it, but then we can pay for a war that is not needed.
That's a good point. You know how much this war is costing us, Jihad? It's like $2 billion a day. It's insane. And now Pete Hegseth is asking Congress to pass literally hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars for this endless war. I say it's an endless war because they don't even know how to get out of this war now. And Iran,
exactly. And
listen, it doesn't.
Half of that money can pay for Medicare for all because actually, when I did my own research, it's actually cheaper than employer-sponsored health insurance.
Yeah.
Canada has it. Most of the European country has it. UK has it. Why can't we? I just don't get it. A lot of Americans don't mind paying more in taxes and having Medicare for all. It's as simple as that. But these idiots, Republicans, do not want it.
Republicans are the party that want to take away your health care. They want to take away government programs and food stamps. They want to continue to give tax cuts to the richest people in this country. They want tax loopholes for these Fortune 500 companies. They don't care about poor people. They certainly don't care about minorities in this country, and they want to tell women what to do with their bodies. This is way before.
I hope they have a special place in hell.
Well, I'll tell you something. This is way before Donald Trump got in office. As much criticism as I have for Donald Trump, and you know I have endless criticism for Trump and his administration. This is the history of the Republican Party. Now, with that being said, 10 years ago, I feel like at least in most cases you were able to have some reasonable conversations with elected officials on the right. That's no longer either. That's no longer either.
John McCain.
Yeah, exactly.
John McCain.
John McCain was somebody that I thought that would have been a really good president. I did not like Sarah Palin, but as you know, vice presidents are not policymakers. John McCain, I didn't always agree with him on policy stuff, but he was a decent man who cared about the American people. Oh, yeah, he was also a hero who didn't dodge the draft 5 times like Donald Trump. John McCain was a hero. He lived his life as a hero, and I will always have the utmost respect for John McCain. I also have respect for people like Mitt Romney. I wouldn't call Mitt Romney a hero per se, but at least Mitt Romney did vote to impeach Donald Trump, and even though I disagree with him policy-wise on almost everything, the man did have a moral compass, and I respected that. I would say the same thing about Liz Cheney. Listen, I was never a Dick Cheney fan. That war in Iraq was all the innocent people that died. But at least before Dick Cheney died, he called out Donald Trump. Where the hell is George W. Bush? Can somebody please tell me why George W. Bush hasn't spoken out once? Why?
We need him to speak.
He won't.
Modern day Republicans.
He won't. You know why George W. Bush won't speak up? I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you why he hasn't. Because when push came to shove, a day after 9/11, he flew out the bin Laden family knowing that they were responsible for what took place on 9/11 because because his family had business dealings. We're talking billions of dollars with the Saudis. That is exactly why they did not interview the bin Laden family. That is why he flew them out, and that is why George W. Bush had these secret behind closed door meetings after 9/11. Do I think it was an inside job and George W. Bush knew it was coming? No, but I will tell you this, Condoleezza Rice and George W. Bush knew that there were threats from bin Laden, that he was trying to, come up with some sort of terrorist attack involving airplanes. They had the information. They did not protect the American people. George W. Bush, in my opinion, is a war criminal and a terrible, horrific human being. But I would still rather have George W. Bush in office if I had to choose between him and Trump. That's how bad Donald Trump is.
So bad. In 2028, I hope the Democrats win power, Senate, House.
You and me both.
We need massive changes.
You and me both, brother. Great phone call, Jahid. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Bruce is calling in. Hey, Bruce, what's up? Calling from Wisconsin. What's up, Bruce?
Hey, Brian, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Bruce?
Thank you.
Lower your radio if you can, because we got a little bit of an echo going there.
Radio? No, I'm not, I don't have a radio on.
Okay.
I was watching you.
Okay.
I was watching you on my other phone.
No problem. What's on your mind today, Bruce?
You know something, Brian? We need a hell of a lot more people like you standing up against that crackhead Donald Trump. Now, there's only one thing that I disagree with you on.
Okay.
When you call Trump supporters, mushroom gobblers.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes.
give it, man. Let me tell you something, Brian. You're giving them too much credit. They are a bunch of drunken jackasses.
Well, they're
That's
that
the
too.
name for it.
They're that too. You could do both. You could be both. We'll agree. You could be both.
But you know what? Brian? I know I've just only been listening to you for maybe like a couple of 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I listened, I said, let me see what this guy's about. And every episode that I have watched you have tore them suckers down till they didn't even know where their mama lived at when you got through with them. When you got through with them, they didn't even know where the hell their mama lived.
Well, I do my best. I try to do my best, and I try to have, at the start, I try to have respectful conversations with people, and sometimes it doesn't always end that way, because if they're going to use ad hominem attacks first, or if they're going to say something that is so off the wall, crazy, bigoted, and stupid, then I'm just not going to put up with it. And I know some people say, Brian, just move on to the next caller. That's not my personality.
I don't blame you one bit.
Not
I don't blame you one bit.
Bruce,
you're doing a great job.
Well, Bruce, I appreciate that. That really means a lot. And I'm glad that you found the show. Please call back anytime, okay?
Okay.
One
other thing.
Yeah, go ahead quickly. Yep.
That 21-year-old you were debating, I love the way you told him a new ass. I loved it.
I think you're talking.
I love the way you did.
I think you're talking about Carson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
love the way you
Well, I
did
appreciate that. If somebody, I match their energy. If somebody's going to start a debate by saying the most ridiculous things, then I'm going to go twice as hard. And I'm glad you appreciate what we do here on PTL, Bruce. And you keep calling back. And as long as I have people like you supporting the show, I'm going to keep doing my thing, my man. So I appreciate that and your kind words. Thank you so much. Alex is calling in, I believe, out of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Alex, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how are you today?
Hey, good. What's up?
Yeah, I was just going to let you know about Abdul El-Sayed. I actually met him at the convention down in Detroit in April, and I've been following him for about 2 years. And I can say without a doubt, I don't say this just because I'm a Democrat, but the thing is, when it comes to Abdul El-Sayed, he actually listens to what is being said. Because the one topic that he hasn't really talked about much, he's the only candidate I've heard talk about environmental racism, right? Mm-hmm. When I talked to him about it, he looked at me and he says, and you know what? It's an urban and a rural issue all the same, which goes to show he listens to what's being talked about and he actually gives an articulate response.
Yeah.
And when it was still Mallory McMorrow and Haley Stevens and Abdul, when it was time for like the final part of the convention, Mallory McMorrow went on the stage. She kind of had a bit of a lukewarm response. People cheered for Abdul. When Abdul went on the stage and he finished his speech, he was given a standing ovation of about 7,000 people at the convention. When Haley Stevens went up there, she was booed relentlessly from start to finish. And to her credit, she finished her speech. And I will definitely give Haley Stevens credit for conceding and saying now she's going to support Abdul El-Sayed. But the issue we have right now is there are Democrats in the state of Michigan that are crossing over to support Mike Rogers simply because they don't like his point of view.
Well, vote them out of office. Vote if there are elected Democrats that are speaking out on that. I don't know if you're talking about just regular Democrats that are registered Democrats, but shame on them. Shame on them.
Yeah, it's Representative Sultan. She's one of them. She's actually crossing over to vote for Mike Rogers.
Well, she's an idiot.
No longer ready for office now.
Yeah, she's an idiot. Complete idiot. Let's just call it for what it is. You're an idiot. If you're going to vote for any of these MAGA Republicans over a guy like El-Sayed, you're an idiot.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Because, like, Mike Rogers doesn't have much of a platform. He's on record saying Michigan needs a senator that's going to fulfill Trump's policies. That's not a policy decision. That is just bending the knee.
That's what they all do. That's what they all do in office, my friend. Great phone call, and I agree with you. That's an interesting story that you just shared with us about meeting El-Sayed, and that's the kind of guy that he strikes me as someone that actually cares and listens to people and talks about the real issues, kitchen table issues, right? The economy, gas prices, inflation, healthcare. He wants to talk about all the really important issues, and gosh, I hope he gets elected. I hope this guy Rogers doesn't get in because that would be a disaster. But I appreciate the call, sir, and I'm glad you're involved and you spent some time to talk with him. I think that's really important, and I appreciate your story. Thank you so much. Troy is calling out of Maryland. What's up, Troy?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Hey, good. What's up?
Yes, I love that interview. I wanted to talk about the ballroom and the reason why I think he's so obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the movie Civil War?
I did, and at the end of the movie, they take out the president. I saw that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what I think, man.
You know what I think?
Building it.
Well, that you could be. You could be right. You could be right. Here's what I think it's about, and it's what Donald Trump has done for years. I think it's just about personal gain. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think it's about financial gain for his family. I think this ballroom, he just wants his name on everything, and I think it's a legacy for him. And he wants to turn that ballroom into some sort of financial gain and have these big events there and let him and his family benefit from it. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong.
But
Maybe that's a
I
part
agree
of it.
with you on that too. But when he leaves, then what? That's the point. That's why I think he wants to stay down there.
Well, anything that Donald Trump builds there, I think if a Democrat wins in 2028, you take everything down. You take everything down. You put Martin Luther King Jr. statue back in the Oval Office. You replace all the chairs and everything that he used and toilet seats and everything, and you revamp everything.
But not use the taxpayers' money.
Exactly. You put everything back to the way it was before. You recreate that Rose Garden and what Jackie Kennedy did many years ago, and you get rid of all the nonsense and all the crap that he put in there and all the gold, and you shove it up MAGA's ass. That's what you do. And you make it the way it was, the way it was when Joe Biden and Barack Obama were president. You put the White House back to where it was and the Rose Garden and what Jackie Kennedy did. You get rid of those stupid tennis courts that Melania Trump put up and just say, screw you, MAGA. You're done. This is over. We're getting back to some normalcy in the White House. That's what needs to be done.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And another thing that I watch Abby Phillips, I usually record it, and then I just fast forward the BS.
I've done her show before. I like Abby Phillips.
Crazy how I would love to see you on there.
I've done her show before. I would love to come back. It's been a little while.
I love when Adam is on there to destroy them because it's just so.
Oh wait, not Abby Phillips. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I wasn't on Abby Phillips' show.
Okay, yes, I would love to see you on Abby.
No, I'm trying to think of the show that I was on, and it's the show before her, and I'm now drawing a blank. But I'm sorry, no, it wasn't Abby Phillips.
Okay. Yes, but it's so crazy how they just try to defend him. It's so ridiculous every night. How they just try to defend the indefensible with this clown.
Well, that's what they're going to do, and that's why we all call them Trump mushroom gobblers, my friend, and I'm glad you're not one of them. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Tyrone, I believe, is calling, if I'm not mistaken, out of Cleveland. Hello, Tyrone.
It's Terrell, yo.
Terrell. Okay, it says Tyrone on the screen that I'm looking at. Terrell. Hello, Terrell.
Man, I don't understand how all you white liberals can't get the brother's name correct.
You don't understand how all these white liberals can't. Okay, so I know you're trying to clown us again. I know who you are. You
not trying to clown
okay,
you,
be
Terrell,
quiet.
man.
I don't care what you say your name is. That's not your name. Okay, I recognize your voice. You call into this show all the time with different names. And you're not going to do it this time, okay? I'm not stupid. I know who you are. So if you would like to talk about a topic that we've been talking about on this show, and you would like to have a serious conversation, okay, I'm happy to do that with you, all right? As I've said to you over and over and over again, and then you want to play these childish games and use different names and use different voices. It's not working, okay? So I will give you one opportunity and one opportunity only. If you would like to have a serious conversation about a topic or something you disagree with me on that we've talked about on the show today, I'm happy to do that with you. But if you're going to play your stupid games and act like a 10-year-old, I'm going to move on to the next caller. So which is it going to be? Would you like to talk about something serious or not?
I want to talk about something serious, but you saying I ain't black?
You have 5 seconds to make your point. You're not funny. Otherwise, I'm moving on to the next caller. 4, 3,
You already.
2. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's see who's next up on the list. Let's go to Dan. Dan is calling out of Ohio. What's up, Dan?
Hello?
Yeah. Hey, Dan. What's up?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, I'm Dan from Ohio here. I started listening to your program probably, I don't know, several months ago, and I kind of like what I see. I like how you put these MAGA buffoons, on the spot and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been, I wrote a few things down. If we can add to it, you probably already know this stuff anyway, but I haven't heard you say it yet, but I haven't heard all your programs either,
Mm-hmm.
Now with me, I did vote for Trump only in 2016, only for one reason,
Mm-hmm.
was, I wasn't following politics at the time.
Okay.
And just very, very little. And so I actually jumped on the Trump wagon, sort of, because all this Hillary, what do you call her? Hillary
Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, but he had a nickname for her, whatever it was. But anyway, so
he
I
has
jumped on the
nicknames
wagon.
he has nicknames for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. That's why I can't stand him really. Well, it's not the nicknames really, if they're okay names, But anyway, so I jumped on the wagon, and it didn't take me very long to start regretting it. With me, I'm kind of, I think I'm going to be voting like independent from now on, but I'm slightly to the left, only because of Trump's in there. As long as he's in there.
By the
I'm
way,
always
you
gonna vote left.
were referencing crooked Hillary, right?
Yeah, crooked. That's right. Couldn't think of the word. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, it didn't take me very long because back in 2016, probably one of the first things that started getting me ticked off at Trump was he has no empathy for anybody, that. And he started flailing his arms at one time in that commercial about that paraplegic guy or something, a reporter or something, started making fun of him. So that was maybe strike one. And then they kept on asking him about, show your taxes and stuff like this. He says, well, every couple months. No, he said it's in, what do you call that when the taxes are, getting checked over? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just a lot.
Donald Trump refused to show his tax returns. He refused to show his medical records to this day of why he was at Walter Reed Medical Facility. He refuses to release the rest of the Epstein files, even though they are literally breaking the law right now, and they are legally obligated to release all the Epstein files. He's constantly had things to hide, and the reason why he's constantly had so many things to hide is because the man is a criminal himself, a liar, and the levels of, I guess you could call it, for lack of a better term, fraud, are through the roof. We've never had a president this corrupt in the history of this country. We've had corrupt presidents, but we've never had a president as corrupt as this one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE if you want to be a part of the conversation. Tony, I believe, is calling out of the Bronx. Hello, Tony.
Brian, I want to ask you a question, man, about empathy.
You wanted to ask me a question about empathy. That seems to be very on topic. Have we talked about empathy today on the show, Tony?
You mention it all the time. So I figured to ask.
Okay, so Tony, maybe I'll take your question, but let me just ask you one first. Have we talked about empathy today on the show?
You mentioned Alex Preddy. That's empathy, right?
Didn't talk about the word empathy on this show. Yes, I did talk about Alex Preddy in regards to Minneapolis because I thought what happened to Alex Preddy was terrible. Yes. Why do you want to ask me a question about empathy? Why don't you want to ask me a question about any of the topics that we've discussed today?
Because I think you're a hypocrite when it comes to it.
Because you think I'm a hypocrite when it comes to it.
Yes.
Okay, sounds like you have a very intelligent question to ask, Tony. Go ahead and ask your very intelligent question about empathy.
I'm going to ask you, but let me get it out and don't pot me down.
I'll do whatever Tony, it's my show, not yours. I'll do whatever I want. You don't tell me what to do. If I feel like potting you down, I will, because it's my show and you called into my show, and that's a privilege for you. So with that being said, now we understand who's in control here. Go ahead and ask your question, but don't tell me what to do. I'll do whatever the hell I want to do, and there's nothing you can do about it, okay? Do I make myself clear, Tony? If you're going to act like a child, I'll treat you like one. I will put you in the corner, and I will pod you down if I don't like what you're saying. So go ahead.
You talk about Hunter Biden, right? How he overcame the crack addiction, right? And you have empathy for it, right?
Didn't talk about Hunter Biden. Didn't talk about.
I'm just saying. That's
I
what you
didn't
said,
talk.
right?
Are you asking a rhetorical question, or would you like me to answer it? Hey, dum-dum.
Answer it.
Okay, then shut up.
Answer it.
Then shut up.
Answer it.
Pot him down.
Scumbag.
Oh, you just called me a scumbag? Why am I a scumbag? Why am I a scumbag?
Why are you a scumbag?
Yeah, why am I a scumbag?
Why are you a scumbag? How
Yeah.
about you
Do I
answer- how about you
stutter?
look in the mirror
Do
and
I
tell
stutter?
me,
Okay,
look-
so now I'm a scumbag, and the reason why is look in the mirror. Tony, you're not a very serious person. You can't, when you insult somebody, you can't even come up with background on why you're insulting somebody. You're a scumbag. Keep potting him down for a minute, please. Keep him down. So you asked me about Hunter Biden. Even though Hunter Biden, not on topic, didn't mention his name today, and I know people like you who are very ignorant and stupid struggle with direction. So, Tony, yes, in regards to Hunter Biden, this is a man who had a drug addiction. He's been very open and honest about it. This is a guy who struggled for many years with addiction. He's been open and honest about the drugs he did, the prostitutes, and all that other stuff. He's been sober for 7 years. He did this show for an hour and a half, and he's talked about this publicly. And now he's opened up facilities to help other people that are struggling with addiction because he has empathy. Yes, I think Hunter Biden's made some mistakes in his life, but I do have empathy for anybody that struggles with addiction. So, Tony, did I answer your question about empathy? Because if you try to insult me again, the conversation is over. Quite frankly, I should have hung up on you earlier, and I still answered your question in a very respectful manner.
You didn't answer it. You know why? Because what you say about Rush Limbaugh, you call him a scumbag,
Nope.
right?
Pot him down. Pot him down. Here's why I call Rush Limbaugh a scumbag. Now, I understand you're not smart enough to understand. Rush Limbaugh is not a scumbag because of his drug addiction. I never said Rush Limbaugh was a scumbag because he was addicted to painkillers. However, what I did say, because you struggle to pay attention, is that Rush Limbaugh was a scumbag because of his bigotry. He called Sandra Fluke a whore. Do you know who Sandra Fluke is, Tony? Let's see if you'll answer my question. And then if you don't, that's okay. I'll answer it for you. Do you know who Sandra Fluke is? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, of course you don't, because you're a very uneducated idiot. So Sandra Fluke is a woman who spoke in front of the House chambers, and she wanted contraception covered by her health care coverage. I think it's a fair request. There are some people who can't afford contraceptives. And in turn, Rush Limbaugh went on the air, and he called her a whore. Rush Limbaugh also made jokes about Barack Obama, calling him a Negro and playing songs, calling him a Negro. Rush Limbaugh consistently attacked brown people, attacked women. The reason why I call Rush Limbaugh a scumbag has nothing to do with his addictions to painkillers and has everything to do with the things he said on the air every day and the hatred and bigot that he represented. Now, if you give me something bigotry or hatred or something that Hunter Biden did in his life, then fine, no problem. But I don't feel empathy for bad human beings or people that I think are bad people. I think Rush Limbaugh did a lot of damage to this country, and I'll make it very simple for you. Cancer might have gotten Rush Limbaugh, but Rush Limbaugh was a cancer to society. Now, let's see, Tony, if you have any brain cells and you have an IQ over 20, which, by the way, I don't think you do. Did that make any sense to you, Tony, or are you just going to go with ad hominem attacks again?
I'm not attacking you.
When you call me a scumbag, so when you call, shut up. When you call me a scumbag, what's that?
You're a scumbag.
Okay, have a nice day then. Bye-bye. See you later. Notice when I answer his questions, he has nothing to say. When I answer his questions thoroughly and I give him a full explanation, nothing to say. Just wants to go with the ad hominem attacks and call me a scumbag. Rush Limbaugh was a scumbag. Rush Limbaugh was the bad guy. I didn't wish death on Rush Limbaugh. I'm sorry that he struggled with painkillers, but guess what? Rush Limbaugh was a cancer to society. Hunter Biden is now helping people with addiction. Did Rush Limbaugh ever do that? What did that fat pig ever do with his money to help people? I'm wondering. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Thank you, Scumbag Tony, for the phone call. Let's go to Dave. Dave is calling out of Sacramento. What's up, Dave?
Hey, what's up, Brian? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, thank you, scumbag caller. Thank you. Just want to throw that in too as well. Thank you, scumbag. So anyway, you know, the old saying goes, it's not trying to be biblical or anything, but the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? Well, those are kind of people, whatever's in their heart, that's how they are in the outside, you know, as well as the inside. So let me tell you something, Brian. You know, this, we are living in scary times and make it short and sweet. Okay, look it. People, going to Iran was the biggest mistake in the world. We know that for a fact. It goes to show you, just because he attacked Venezuela doesn't mean that it wasn't as easy as it is that he thought it was when he went to Iran. He thought, okay, if I can go in Venezuela, if it's that easy, then I'll attack Iran. Well, it looks like it wasn't, because they're basically putting down the brakes and say, no, you're not going to have your way. And Canada, well, 50%. They're going after us with 50% of what? Of aluminum, lumber. What else do we? All the other stuff that they make over there, they're going to charge us a lot, and everything's going to get expensive. And the gas that Iran is saying, no, we're not going to let the United States have your way. So they're going to raise the gas.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. So you know what's going to happen to all these other cars? Well, people are buying electric cars now because we don't know how long this war is going to go.
Yeah.
And I sure in hell don't want to buy an electric car from the idiot. But you know what? This is what I'll do. This is what I'll do. Okay, Brian, I'm going to buy a hybrid. A hybrid, half gas, half electric. So that way I don't have to buy the car from Tesla.
I don't think
have
that's
to buy
a
the
bad
car from the idiot.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I think you're making some sense, Dave. Yeah,
All
you
right,
know,
man.
yeah. Hey,
You
you have the right to buy the car that you want to buy. I would never buy one of those ugly truck Teslas. They're disgusting.
They're gross.
Yep.
But but thanks, Ryan. I love your show. I love your
Thanks,
show.
dude.
I love what you do. But you do good at what you do. You remind me of KGO News Talk 810 in San Francisco. That you guys don't put up with anybody just like the
Well,
people
that's
up there in
nice.
KGO and everybody knows KGO News Talk 810 in San
Well, that's
Francisco.
nice.
But I'm glad
That's nice of you to say.
have the personality of them.
San Francisco is a great radio market. That's really nice of you to say, Dave, and I do appreciate your call. Thank you so much. He does make some very valid points there. 702-221-SAVE is the number to call, 702-221-7283. It wouldn't be a show without the MAGA Destroyer. Darlene calling in out of Oklahoma. What's up, Darlene?
Brian. First of all, everybody listen. Let's cut Tony some slack because he's sexually frustrated. Brian, I didn't know if you knew, but he's never got any. No woman would ever touch him because he's still a virgin.
I think if he paid for it, they still wouldn't touch him. That's what I think.
Brian, I got to ask you this.
Yes.
Who's the MAGA chick out in the trunk of your sports car?
Oh, you're talking about Natalie Harp. Yeah, she's in the back.
In your car this time.
Oh.
Anyway, no, I'm done being funny. Seriously, Brian, I love you, and I'm so proud of you. John and I, my husband, we watched your 3-hour debate, and Brian, I'm not saying it because you're Brian, you kicked their butts.
Well, that's nice of you. I appreciate that.
All they did was just want to cut you down on your shirt. And I really loved the guy that was talking, the one that had he owned 4 real estates.
Yeah.
And like, I'm doing so good. People that are rich like that, they sort of forget that we're not all rich.
Darlene, he is against all government programs like food stamps and welfare, but he seemed to be very happy with Section 8 housing because he actually profits from Section 8 housing, and I got him on that, and I caught him on that. Darlene, it's always great to hear from you, and I appreciate your call. Tell your husband I said hello, and you be safe, okay, Darlene?
We love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Darlene. Appreciate it. 702-221-7283. Ron is calling, I believe, out of Alabama, wants to talk about El-Sayed. What's up, Ron?
Fuck.
Thank you, Ron, for the phone call. Thank you so much, Ron, for the phone call. Very, very intelligent call. Why do I think somehow that a guy who calls into the show and starts swearing probably voted for Donald Trump? Am I wrong in thinking that? You tell me. Am I wrong? Why do I get the feeling that Ron voted for Donald Trump? And he used his little Trump fingers in the middle of the day and he said, hey, I'm going to get Brian. I'm going to call into the show and act like a 10-year-old and use the F word, and I'm going to get him, and I'll get my jollies off in doing that. By the way, that's probably the same guy who probably is saying that same word when he looks at a picture of me before he goes to sleep at night. That's actually what I think. All right, we got a couple announcements to make here. We got multiple announcements to make, all right? Some important ones at that. So I have a 10 versus 1 debate that I'm going to be doing in Las Vegas again. Darlene was talking about it. The last one I did a few weeks ago. Doing another one next week. I will broadcast it live on my YouTube page. It's going to be August 31st, and I believe it's going to probably be 2:30 to 6:30. That's usually what they are. We're going to be talking about the war in Iran. We're going to be debating that. We're going to be talking about the economy, the usual issues that we talk about on this show every single day, the news of the day, the news of the week, and 10 MAGA Republicans are going to be debating me. That's going to be live on my YouTube page, so you're certainly not going to want to miss that. Also, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas, for the Republican National Convention, the 9th and the 10th. As we are putting up this graphic, I am also in a ticketed live studio audience event with Take Back America, I should say. I always say Take America Back. Take Back America. As you see there, I'm going to be debating Alex Stein. I love that UFC AI picture. It's awesome. So that's on September 9th. If you notice, there's a QR code on the bottom right there. You put your phone up to it, and that'll give you the opportunity to buy tickets. The tickets are very inexpensive. They're under $20. Chris Mowry is going to be headlining that event. He's in the Harry Sisson gang. He's awesome. Chris is great. He's going to be debating after my debate. And Kyla's going to be there. Kyla Turney, not so erudite. She's going to be debating as well. A few other left-wing creators, left-leaning creators are going to be debating against Republicans. There's going to be like 4 or 5 debates, and I'm going to have one of them. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be in Dallas on the 9th. So if you can make it, what I've said to the listeners is the first 10 people that come up to me, because I'll be in the crowd, I'll be saying hello to everybody. The first 10 people that come up to me and shake my hand, you're going to get a free Don't Be a Trump Mushroom Gobbler t-shirt. That's right. And I'll even sign one for you. Free of charge, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, if you want to purchase one of those, if you can't make it out there, then you can purchase one on my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live. Now, you go to the website, you can purchase Don't Be a Trump Mushroom Gobbler shirts, Don't Be a Right-Wing Buffoon shirts, Pod Him Down shirts. All those shirts are up there on my website, as you see it there on the bottom screen, pushingthelimits.live. You can also make donations, $5, $10, $20 a month, a one-time donation. Any of this stuff that you do, you're help supporting independent media, and if you enjoy what I do, then we appreciate your support. Pushingthelimits.live is the website where you can buy the merchandise and make donations. So that's kind of my schedule the next couple weeks. I want to give you the schedule of the great guests that I have lined up for you over the course of the next couple days that I'm really excited about. So to start the show tomorrow, he's a personal friend of mine. We haven't had him on the show in a long time. He lasted 11 days into the Trump administration. I love this guy. I love his honesty, and we got to get his thoughts on Caroline Leavitt and who's going to be the next press secretary. The former press secretary to Donald Trump. He only lasted 11 days. The mooch himself, Anthony Scaramucci, is going to be joining us at the start of the show tomorrow. Then at the bottom of the hour tomorrow, it's going to get spicy. He is a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. Oh, is there a lot for us to talk about? Will Witt is going to be joining us for an all-out, duke-it-out debate. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad Will has agreed to come on the show, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Thursday, somebody that I've been wanting to talk to for a very long time. He's formerly of InfoWars. I didn't agree with a lot of what he had to say, but lately I'm starting to align with a lot of what Owen Schroyer has to say, and I told him that. He's agreed to come on Thursday. So Owen Schroyer will be joining us on Thursday, somebody that I've been wanting to talk to for a very, very long time. He's been very critical of the Trump administration. So that is going to be a lot of fun on Thursday. And then Friday, left-wing influencer, a great debater, Ethan Alexander, is going to be co-hosting with me on Friday. That is also going to be a lot of fun. It appears as though at some point next week, we most likely are getting Jared Moskowitz, Representative Jared Moskowitz. So that's going to be fun as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. You know, I'm so proud of where PTL Nation is right now. I'm very proud of where we're at. Do me a favor if you can, okay? Besides the website and everything else that I mentioned, if you support what I do, please consider being a paid member on YouTube. Paid members get prioritized engagement. You get shout-outs. You get exclusive content. And also makes what we do at Pushing the Limits here possible every day. Also, check out my Substack. It's Pushing the Limits and then the number 1. Subscribe to my Substack, Pushing the Limits and the number 1. You do all those things, and you check out my website, and you get involved and buy some merchandise and have some fun. And if you purchase one of my Don't Be a Trump Mushroom Gobbler shirts and you email it to me and send me a picture, I will post it on social media as well. I appreciate all you guys. I love all you guys at PTL Nation. Thanks for joining us today. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn?